Someone is crying over you right now. And you don't know why yet. Don't scroll, listen to this, because this message is for you, and your heart needs this right now, even if you don't yet understand why you were drawn here, because nothing about this moment is accidental, nothing about your timing is random, and the universe itself has slowed things down just enough to speak directly to your soul through these words, and I need you to stay with me until the very end. Because what you're about to hear is not just emotional, it's prophetic, it's divinely guided, and it's meant to shift something deep inside you, my child, somewhere right now, in a quiet room, in the stillness of the night or in the silence between distractions. There is someone sitting alone with tears falling, not dramatic tears meant to be seen, but private tears meant to be felt, and they are crying over you, even if they would never admit it out loud, even if pride keeps their mouth closed, because when the world grows quiet, truth gets loud, and listen to this carefully. Your heart needs this right now. They didn't expect this pain, they truly believed they could walk away, move on, replace what you were, distract themselves until the connection faded, but the universe does not allow soul-level bonds to disappear without reckoning, and now that reckoning has arrived, heavy on their chest, tightening their breath, because memories have a way of resurfacing when growth demands honesty, and don't scroll, because this message is for you, the one who questioned their worth in silence, the one who wondered if you were ever truly chosen, if your love was ever truly seen, because I need you to hear this clearly. Those tears are not weakness, they are realization, they are the moment when ego steps aside and the soul finally speaks truth, and what the soul is saying is this: they lost something real, something rare, something they did not protect when it mattered, and my child, listen to this. You were never forgettable, never replaceable, never ordinary. And the reason they are crying now is because clarity always arrives after loss, never before, and don't scroll, because this is where destiny begins to reveal itself. You may have felt strange emotional waves lately, sudden heaviness followed by calm, random memories surfacing without warning, songs hitting deeper than usual, moments where your chest felt tight for no clear reason, and you thought maybe it was nostalgia or weakness. But it wasn't, it was alignment, it was the energetic chord surfacing one last time so truth could be acknowledged. And listen to this, angel numbers have been following you for a reason: 1111 when your thoughts drift to the future, 222 when you doubt your decisions, 333 when emotions rise unexpectedly. These are signs from the universe reminding you that you are supported, guided, and seen, and while you are stepping into clarity, they are stepping into regret. And my child, don't scroll, because this message is not meant to pull you backward into pain, it's meant to free you from the questions you carried alone for so long, because they are crying not because you were perfect, but because you were present, because you loved deeply, because you showed up authentically, because you offered something genuine in a world full of half-effort. And now that presence is gone, and the emptiness is loud, echoing in places they didn't expect, and your heart needs this right now, because you spent too long asking yourself if you were too much, too emotional, too intense, too loving. But the truth is this: you were just too real for someone who wasn't ready to face themselves. And listen to this carefully, my child. They replay memories of you when no one is watching, not the arguments, not the endings, not the moments of distance, but the small sacred moments, the laughter, the comfort, the way your presence softened their edges, the way being with you felt like home. And that is what breaks them, because they realize now they didn't just lose a person, they lost peace, they lost safety, they lost someone who saw them clearly and stayed anyway. And don't scroll, because this is important. Soulmate connections are not always meant to last forever. Sometimes they are meant to awaken you, to activate growth, to show you who you are capable of being, and awakening often comes through pain, through separation, through lessons that leave a mark, and my child, you were the catalyst, even if it cost you tears, even if it cost you sleepless nights and self-doubt, and your heart needs this right now, because while they are crying over the version of you they lost, you are being prepared for a future that requires you to finally see yourself clearly, not through their hesitation, not through their confusion, but through divine truth. And listen to this, the universe is precise, not cruel, it removes what cannot rise with you, it clears what no longer aligns, and while this realization is heavy for them, it is liberating for you. And my child, don't scroll, because this is confirmation, confirmation that the connection was real, confirmation that your intuition was right, confirmation that you didn't imagine the depth. Confirmation that your love mattered, even if it wasn't honored the way it should have been. And listen to this, your heart needs this right now, because this story is not ending in loss for you, it is transforming into wisdom, into strength, into self-respect, and the universe is watching how you choose yourself now, how you walk forward without bitterness, how you release without hatred, and that choice is opening doors you cannot yet see. And my child, stay with me, because this is only the beginning of what the universe is about to reveal to you, and what comes next will make everything you endured finally make sense. Don't scroll, listen to this, because what I'm about to share now goes deeper than what you've already felt, and your heart needs this right now, especially if you've been sensing a quiet change inside yourself that you can't fully explain, because this message is for you, yes you, the one who has been healing in silence while the universe has been rearranging things behind the scenes, and I need you to stay with me all the way through, because this is where the unseen becomes clear. The reason they are crying now is not sudden, it has been building slowly, moment by moment, memory by memory, ever since the day they thought they could walk away without consequence. And listen to this carefully, your heart needs this right now. They told themselves they were fine, they distracted themselves with noise, with people, with routines, with work, but distraction only delays truth, it never erases it, and now truth has caught up. Because in the quiet moments, when there is no one to perform for, no one to impress, no one to convince, your energy shows up, uninvited but undeniable, and that's when their chest tightens, because they realize something painful, something irreversible. They underestimated what you meant to them. And my child, don't scroll, because this is where the universe starts speaking plainly. They are crying because they finally see the pattern, they see how you tried to communicate when they avoided, how you stayed present when they pulled back, how you offered reassurance while quietly questioning your own worth, and now those moments replay differently, not as pressure, not as conflict, but as love they didn't know how to receive at the time. And listen to this, your heart needs this right now, you were not asking for too much, you were asking the wrong person at the wrong stage of their growth, and growth that comes late often comes with regret, and this regret is heavy, because it arrives with clarity. And clarity doesn't allow excuses. And my child, don't scroll, because this message is not about making you feel sorry for them, it's about releasing you from the weight you carried, because while you were blaming yourself, questioning yourself, softening yourself to keep the connection alive, they were unconsciously assuming you would always be there, always understanding, always waiting. And the universe does not reward assumptions, it rewards alignment, and now alignment has shifted. And listen to this carefully, angel numbers have been following both of you, but in very different ways. you may see 111 and feel calm, like a new beginning is forming, while they see 111 and feel panic, like something is slipping away. You may see 444 and feel protected, while they see it and feel confronted, because the same sign delivers different messages depending on where the soul stands. And my child, don't scroll, because this truth matters. They are crying because they feel the energetic distance growing, not through anger, not through blocking, not through dramatic endings, but through peace, and peaceful detachment is the hardest thing to process. Because there is nothing to fight against, nothing to fix, nothing to chase, only acceptance, and acceptance hurts when it arrives too late. And listen to this, your heart needs this right now. They replay conversations in their head, not to blame you, but to understand themselves, to see where fear made decisions, where pride replaced vulnerability, where silence replaced honesty. And now those choices feel heavy, because they realize that love does not survive on feelings alone, it survives on presence, effort, and emotional safety. And my child, don't scroll, because this is where destiny corrects the story you told yourself. You thought maybe if you had been quieter, easier, less emotional, things would have worked, but the truth is this, you were already giving your best, and their inability to meet you there was never a reflection of your worth. And listen to this carefully, your heart needs this right now. They are crying because they see you changing, becoming lighter, more self-assured, less reactive, more grounded, and that shift is undeniable, because energy speaks louder than words, and they can feel that you are no longer available to the same dynamic, and that scares them, because they know deep down that growth closes doors that words cannot reopen. And my child, don't scroll, because this message is not a signal to return, it's a signal that the lesson has been completed. Sometimes closure doesn't come through conversation, it comes through transformation. And this is transformation in motion, and your spirit recognizes it, which is why this message feels emotional and comforting at the same time. And listen to this, the universe is not punishing anyone, it is recalibrating, placing each soul where they can grow the most. And while growth for them looks like tears and regret, growth for you looks like clarity and peace. And my child, your heart needs this right now, because you are stepping into a season where you no longer confuse intensity with connection, where you no longer settle for potential over presence, where you trust your intuition instead of silencing it. And the universe honors that shift. And don't scroll, because this next truth is important. The connection you shared was real, but it was not meant to last in the form it took. It was meant to awaken you, to show you your emotional depth, your capacity to love, your need for mutuality. And now that lesson has fulfilled its purpose. And lessons do not follow you into new chapters unless you carry them. And my child, you are learning how to put it down gently, without resentment, without guilt, without longing, and that is powerful. And listen to this carefully, your heart needs this right now. They are crying because they finally understand that you were not replaceable, but understanding does not always grant access. Sometimes it only brings awareness, and awareness without action becomes regret, and that regret belongs to them, not you. And my child, don't scroll, because this is your confirmation that you are no longer meant to wait, explain, or hope someone will rise to meet you. You are meant to walk forward with certainty, trusting that what is meant for you will meet you where you stand, not where you were. And this realization is anchoring you into a new frequency, one where love feels safe, communication feels natural, and effort is mutual. And while they are crying over what they lost, you are aligning with what you deserve. And stay with me, because what comes next will complete the story in a way your heart has been waiting for. Don't scroll, listen to this, because what I'm about to speak now is meant to reach the place in you that finally understands why everything unfolded the way it did, and your heart needs this right now, even if part of you resists hearing it, because this message is for you, the one who kept going even when answers never came, the one who chose growth over bitterness, and I need you to stay with me all the way through, because this is where the deeper truth is revealed, the truth beneath the emotions, beneath the memories, beneath the longing. The reason they are crying now is because they are finally facing themselves without distraction, without denial, without the comfort of your presence to soften their edges. And listen to this carefully, your heart needs this right now. When you were with them, your energy carried warmth, reassurance, grounding, and they leaned into that without realizing they were depending on it. And now that you are no longer there to absorb the emotional weight, they feel exposed, unsettled, restless, and that discomfort has forced reflection, because when comfort disappears, truth rises. And my child, don't scroll, because this is where the universe begins to close the karmic loop. They are crying because they recognize how much emotional labor you carried quietly, how often you were the one holding space, offering patience, explaining feelings, forgiving inconsistencies. And now those memories sting, because they see how uneven the balance was, and clarity always hurts when it reveals imbalance. And listen to this, your heart needs this right now. You were never weak for loving deeply, you were strong for staying open in a situation that didn't always feel safe, and the tears they shed now are not just about missing you. They are about realizing the version of themselves they were when they had you was not aligned with the love they were receiving, and that realization is heavy, because it comes with responsibility. And my child, don't scroll, because this message is not meant to glorify their pain, it's meant to validate your growth, because while they are processing regret, you are integrating wisdom, and there is a difference. Regret looks backward wishing things were different, wisdom looks forward choosing differently. And listen to this carefully, angel numbers have continued appearing for you because you are transitioning into a new cycle. 5:55 signaling deep internal change, 8 hours 88 minutes signaling karmic balance, 9:99 signaling completion. And these signs are not random. They are confirmations that what you are releasing has completed its lesson, and while you may feel moments of sadness still surface, that doesn't mean you are going backward, it means you are human, and healing does not erase memory, it transforms attachment. And my child, don't scroll, because this is important. They are crying because they sense you are no longer energetically available to repeat the cycle, you are no longer reacting. No longer checking, no longer hoping for clarity from them, and that shift is unmistakable, because energy always knows before words do, and when someone realizes they no longer have access to the version of you that waited, it hits deeply, because waiting is a form of devotion, and they assumed it would last forever. And listen to this, your heart needs this right now. The universe is not asking you to feel guilty for outgrowing a dynamic that limited you, it is asking you to honor yourself for choosing alignment over attachment, and that choice is powerful, because it changes your future relationships, your standards, your emotional boundaries. And my child, don't scroll, because this message is also about understanding why the connection felt so intense, so consuming, so unforgettable. Soulmate energy is not always about permanence, sometimes it is about activation, about showing you what depth feels like so you never settle for surface-level love again, and you learn that lesson, even though it came with pain, and now that lesson is integrating into your identity, shaping how you show up for yourself. And listen to this carefully, your heart needs this right now. They are crying because they finally understand that love is not just a feeling you fall into, it is a choice you show up for daily. and they did not choose consistently, and realizing that truth without the chance to fix it hurts. Because growth that arrives after loss often comes with grief, and my child, don't scroll, because this is not a sign to reopen communication, it is a sign that closure has already happened energetically. You do not need words from them to move forward, because your soul has already received the message, and that is why you feel calmer, more grounded, more clear, even when sadness passes through. And listen to this, the universe is preparing you for connections that feel steady, reciprocal, and emotionally present, and it cannot do that while you are still carrying emotional ties to inconsistency, and that is why detachment has been happening naturally, without force, without bitterness, without drama. And my child, your heart needs this right now, because you are not losing love, you are upgrading it, you are moving from lessons to alignment, from intensity to stability, from longing to peace, and while they are crying over what they lost, you are stepping into what you deserve. And don't scroll, because this next truth matters deeply. You were never meant to stay where you had to convince someone of your value. You were meant to be met with recognition, ease, and mutual effort, and the universe is now aligning you with that reality. And listen to this carefully, if this message resonates, it is because your spirit recognizes the truth in it, and that recognition is the final step of closure. And stay with me, because what comes next will show you exactly how this ending becomes your greatest beginning. Don't scroll, listen to this, because what I'm about to say now is meant to settle into your heart like a quiet truth you've been circling for a long time, and your heart needs this right now more than you know, because this message is for you, the one who learned how to stay strong even when you felt unseen, the one who kept choosing love even when clarity never came. And I need you to stay with me all the way through, because this is where everything finally connects. The reason they are crying now is not only because they miss you, it's because they finally see the full picture of who you were and what you carried, and that realization is heavier than nostalgia, heavier than loneliness, heavier than longing, because it comes with awareness. And awareness has weight. And listen to this carefully, your heart needs this right now. When you were in their life, you brought consistency, emotional presence, warmth, and grounding, even if you didn't always feel appreciated for it, and they leaned on that energy without understanding its value. And now that it's gone, the absence feels loud, because you weren't just someone they loved, you were someone who stabilized them, and losing that kind of presence creates an inner imbalance that no distraction can fix. And my child, don't scroll, because this is where the universe gently but firmly corrects the story you told yourself. You believed for a long time that if you had just waited a little longer, loved a little quieter, been a little more patient, things might have changed. But the truth is this: love doesn't require self-erasure to survive, and you were slowly shrinking to keep the connection alive. And now that you've stopped doing that, the shift is undeniable. And listen to this, your heart needs this right now. They are crying because they see you standing in your power without anger, without revenge, without trying to prove anything. And that is confronting, because it shows them that growth is possible. But it requires accountability, and accountability is uncomfortable when it arrives too late. And my child, don't scroll, because this message is not about their pain being more important than yours. It's about understanding that their pain is evidence of your impact, evidence that your love mattered, even if it wasn't nurtured properly. And listen to this carefully, soulmate connections leave imprints. They change how a person loves, how they reflect, how they understand intimacy. And you left that imprint, even if the connection couldn't sustain itself, and now that imprint is being felt as grief, because growth without access feels like loss. And my child, Your heart needs this right now, because you are no longer meant to question whether the connection was real. It was real enough to awaken both of you, even if in different ways and at different times. And don't scroll, because this next truth matters deeply. The universe has been protecting you quietly, redirecting your energy away from emotional loops that kept you stuck, and you may have noticed how certain urges faded, how checking up on them stopped feeling necessary, how your nervous system began to calm, and that wasn't you becoming cold, that was you becoming safe within yourself. And listen to this, angel numbers have continued to show up as reassurance. 6 hours 66 minutes asking you to release emotional baggage. 7 hours 77 minutes reminding you to trust the process. 88 signaling karmic balance, and these signs are confirmations that you are exactly where you need to be, even if part of you still feels tender. And my child, don't scroll, because this message is also about releasing the last layer of guilt you didn't even realize you were carrying. Guilt for walking away emotionally, guilt for choosing peace, guilt for not waiting longer. But listen to me now. Choosing yourself was not abandonment, it was alignment, and alignment sometimes requires leaving situations that no longer reflect your growth, and your heart needs this right now, because you were never meant to be the one who holds everything together at the cost of yourself. And they are crying now because they see that clearly. They see how much you gave, how little you asked for in return, and how they didn't meet you there. And that realization is humbling, because humility often arrives through loss. And my child, don't scroll, because this message is also preparing you for what's next. And what's next requires you to fully trust that you don't have to fight for reciprocity, you don't have to explain your worth, you don't have to convince someone to choose you. The love meant for you will recognize you without effort, and this truth is settling into your spirit now, even if it feels emotional, because emotional release often accompanies truth integration. And listen to this carefully, your heart needs this right now. They are crying because they feel the door closing energetically, not slammed, not locked, but gently shutting as you step forward. And gentle endings are often the most final, because they don't invite return, they invite acceptance, and acceptance hurts when it arrives after regret. And my child, don't scroll, because this is not about celebrating their pain, it's about honoring your growth. Because you didn't harden, you didn't numb, you didn't become bitter. You grew softer and stronger at the same time, and that is rare, and the universe sees that. And listen to this, the reason this message feels soothing is because it's affirming what your soul already knows, that you are no longer meant to carry the emotional weight of someone else's awakening. That chapter is complete. And now you are being guided into a season where love feels calm, communication feels safe, and effort is mutual. And my child, your heart needs this right now, because you are stepping into a life where you are met, not managed, chosen, not tolerated, valued, not questioned. And while they are processing what they lost, you are becoming what you were always meant to be. And don't scroll, because this ending is not an ending at all, it is the quiet beginning of everything you've been growing toward. Don't scroll, listen to this, because what I'm about to speak now is meant to meet you at the exact moment your soul is ready to fully step forward, and your heart needs this right now more than you realize, because this message is for you, the one who has already survived the hardest part without applause, without validation, without anyone truly seeing how much strength it took just to keep going. And I need you to stay with me all the way through, because this is where the weight finally lifts. The reason they are crying now is not just because they lost you, it's because they can feel that you are no longer energetically tied to the past version of the story. And that realization hits differently, because when someone knows they no longer have access to your emotional world, it forces them to confront what they failed to protect, and listen to this carefully. Your heart needs this right now. You didn't announce your healing. You didn't make a dramatic exit, you didn't need to prove anything, you simply chose peace quietly, and that quiet choice has power, because it signals finality without hostility, and that kind of ending lingers in the soul of the one who didn't grow in time. And my child, don't scroll, because this message is not about revisiting pain, it's about understanding the shift that's already happened within you. You may have noticed how certain triggers don't sting the same anymore. How memories come and go without pulling you under, how your nervous system feels calmer, more grounded, and that's not numbness, that's healing integrating, and while you were integrating, they were unraveling, because healing moves one soul forward while awakening pulls another backward into reflection. And listen to this, your heart needs this right now. They are crying because they finally understand that you didn't leave emotionally to punish them, you left to save yourself, and that distinction matters. Because self-preservation is not rejection, and the universe honors those who choose themselves without closing their heart to love. And my child, don't scroll, because this is where destiny takes a turn. The connection you shared fulfilled its karmic role, it taught you discernment. It sharpened your intuition, it revealed your capacity to love deeply without losing empathy, and now that role is complete, and completed lessons do not chase us into new chapters, they release us. And listen to this carefully, angel numbers have been showing up around you as confirmation that you are transitioning into a higher emotional frequency, 1010 signaling alignment with purpose, 1212 signaling spiritual completion and renewal, 22 reminding you that balance is being restored, and these signs are not subtle anymore because the universe knows you are ready to trust what you feel without needing proof. And my child, don't scroll, because this next truth matters deeply. They are crying because they see you choosing differently now, choosing clarity over confusion, consistency over intensity, emotional safety over emotional highs. And that choice highlights everything they did not choose when it mattered, and regret surfaces when comparison happens, not comparison to others, but comparison to the version of themselves they could have been, and that realization is heavy, because growth delayed becomes grief. And listen to this, your heart needs this right now. You are no longer meant to carry guilt for evolving, you are not responsible for how your healing affects those who stayed stagnant. Because growth will always create distance from what cannot rise with you, and distance is not cruelty, it is alignment. And my child, don't scroll, because this message is also about releasing the last emotional residue you didn't even realize you were holding. The need for them to finally understand, finally apologize, finally validate what you went through. But listen to me now, your healing no longer depends on their awareness, because you have already validated yourself, and that is the most powerful shift of all. And listen to this carefully, your heart needs this right now. They are crying because they feel the door closing energetically, not slammed, not locked, but gently shutting as you step into a future that no longer includes uncertainty. And gentle closures are the hardest to reopen, because they are rooted in peace, not pain. And my child, don't scroll, because this is not about celebrating their regret, it's about honoring your growth, because you didn't harden your heart, you didn't become cynical, you didn't lose your capacity to love, you simply refined it. And refinement is what prepares you for what comes next. And listen to this, the universe does not bring aligned love into a life still carrying unresolved attachment, and that is why detachment has been happening naturally, without force, without bitterness, without drama, because your soul is ready. And my child, your heart needs this right now, because what is ahead of you will feel different, calmer, steadier, more mutual. And you won't have to guess where you stand, you won't have to decode mixed signals, you won't have to overextend to be chosen, and while they are crying over what they lost, you are aligning with what you deserve. And don't scroll, because this is not the end of your story, it is the moment where everything begins to move in your favor, quietly, steadily, and with purpose. Don't scroll, listen to this to the very end, because this final message is meant to seal something in your spirit, and your heart needs this right now more than you realize, and I want you to receive these words as if the universe itself is leaning close, speaking softly but firmly, because you did not come this far by accident, you did not survive what you survived just to stay stuck in doubt, and my child, hear me clearly now, the tears they are shedding are no longer about pulling you backward, they are about confirming what you have already stepped into, and that is freedom, because while they are still processing the loss, you are entering a season of alignment, a season where your energy no longer negotiates with uncertainty. And listen to this carefully, your heart needs this right now. You were never meant to shrink yourself to keep someone comfortable. You were never meant to wait endlessly for someone to meet you where you already stood, and the reason this message is reaching you now is because the chapter has officially closed, not with anger, not with unfinished business, but with truth, and truth is the most powerful form of closure there is. And my child, don't scroll, because this is where the story finally turns in your favor. I have seen every tear you cried in silence, every night you questioned yourself, every time you chose love even when it scared you, every moment you doubted your worth instead of hardening your heart, and none of that was wasted, because it refined you, it strengthened you, it prepared you for a love that does not come with confusion, fear, or inconsistency. And listen to this, your heart needs this right now. The reason they are crying is because they recognize too late what they were holding, but recognition does not equal readiness, and you are no longer available to lessons that have already been taught, you are available to blessings. And that shift is divine, and my child, release any remaining guilt you may still be carrying, because their healing is not your assignment, their regret is not your responsibility, and their tears are not a signal for you to pause your life, they are simply proof that your presence mattered deeply, even if it was not honored properly at the time. And listen to this carefully, I do not ask you to go back to be understood, I ask you to move forward to be met, and you are being met now, energetically, spiritually, emotionally, with opportunities that align with the version of you that has grown. And my child, don't scroll, because this next truth is meant to anchor you. You are stepping into a season where love feels calm, not chaotic, where effort is mutual, not forced, where communication flows instead of wounds. And this is not fantasy, this is alignment. This is what happens when you choose yourself without closing your heart, and I honor that choice. And listen to this, your heart needs this right now. The connection you had served its purpose, it awakened you, it taught you discernment, it showed you your capacity to love deeply, and now its lesson is complete, and lessons do not follow you into new chapters unless you carry them. And today, you are being asked to put it down gently, respectfully, and without resentment. And my child, hear this as clearly as possible, you were never rejected. You were redirected, and redirection is protection in disguise. And the signs you've been seeing, the repeating numbers, the sudden calm, the moments of clarity, they are confirmations that you are exactly where you are meant to be, even if part of you still feels tender. And don't scroll, because this is important. I am preparing you for a connection that does not require you to explain your worth, defend your feelings, or prove your loyalty, and that kind of love meets you with certainty, not hesitation. And my child, your heart needs this right now. Because you are done being the lesson, you are becoming the reward, and while they sit with the weight of their realization, you are being lifted into a future that matches your growth, and I need you to trust this, even if you cannot see all of it yet, because faith is trusting the unseen when the seen no longer serves you. And listen to this carefully: if this message reached you, it is because your spirit was ready to receive it, and I want you to do something powerful right now. Comment below and write, "I receive this." Because words activate intention, and intention aligns destiny. And if this message touched your heart, share it with someone who needs reassurance, because light multiplies when it is shared. And my child, subscribe now, because more messages meant for your journey are coming, messages that will guide you, strengthen you, and remind you who you are when the world tries to make you forget. And remember this above all else: you were never invisible, you were never too much, and you were never meant to stay where you were not fully met. And while someone is crying over you right now, you are rising, protected, guided, and loved, and I am with you as you step into the life you prayed for, even when you didn't know how to ask.